Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. My name is Tones TV. This is Jay Sherer. We're going to be talking about A Night in the Seven Kingdoms, episode 4. A whole lot to get into. I guess the IMDb ratings came out today. Of course, Friday was the day that the episode came out because of Super Bowl Sunday. So that was a little cool little, I guess, present for us that we got it 2 days early. But Jay Sherer, thank you for joining me, bro. I appreciate you. If you could tell the people where they can find you and what you do on your channel.
Yeah, you can find me over at How Stories Work with Jay Sheer. I am a writer director of No Vacancy here, and Disclosure on the back behind me.
Absolutely.
And so, because I am trying to be a better writer and director all the time, I study film and then do videos about them. So, for example, I just did 2 videos. One of them was on how they introduce like Jack's character on the Titanic and why it's impactful, and then also how they introduced the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park and how impactful Steven Spielberg was with that. The specific directorial choices each of those directors are making to make a point is what I was covering there. So I do a lot of stuff like that. I'm going to be doing more stuff like that. So follow me over at How Stories Work with Jay Sheer if you want to check that out.
Yeah, please go do so, guys. I will have everything in the description below. His movie Disclosure is out. No Vacancy should be coming out soon, or
Yeah, in fact, I got to figure out if I just need to contact the rest of my team and make sure that they're cool with me putting it out and like wanting to promote it and stuff. So as soon as I arrange all that, yeah, it's gonna be out. It'd be awesome.
yeah, go watch Disclosure chat. It's really good. It is out now, and then follow him for updates about No Vacancy as well. So let's get into it, bro. So episode 3 ended with Dunk punching Aerion Targaryen right in the grill because of him. You know, Aerion, for those who don't know, and Jay probably knows this, but Aerion is someone who obviously portrays himself as better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that people underneath him are dirt, and you could just tell by his calmness. When he's calm about things, when he was talking to Dunk after he punched him, he thinks he's better than everyone else because of the way he reacts. Like, he doesn't think he needs to waste his energy yelling at this person. Just take his head off, as from what he assumed it was going to be that easy. But of course, Egg stepped in, revealed he was a Targaryen. I want to get your opinion on his reveal of him being a Targaryen. Did you like the way it was introduced that he was a Targaryen and how he was able to help Dunk, or what was your opinion on that scene?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, this series has been awesome. This is like, it's, I think, better than House of the Dragon, which I'm kind of surprised by. But the scene was great. My wife predicted it before it happened. She's like, I'm pretty sure they're going to reveal that he's Aegon because his name's Egg. And you could kind of, they foreshadowed it really well because he obviously shaved his head for a reason because he doesn't want people realizing that he has the white hair, right?
Yeah.
So I think they did a really good job of it because even though you could see it coming, it was still a moment. You know, it was still a moment like, oh, okay, cool. And you could tell that like Dunk felt betrayed in the moment because he's like, oh, I'm totally screwed now. Like, you got me drawn into this situation and now I'm in trouble. So they've handled the whole thing really well. The whole way through. So that moment was awesome. That was a great moment.
Yeah, I agree. And I read the book, of course, but I think the way they introduced him as Egg was, even though it was in the book, it still hit hard. You could still see Dexter Soanso, who plays Egg, is phenomenal, Jay. Like, I get goosebumps so good, watching him. Like, it is amazing to watch. There's another character or another actor. He was the kid in that show called Adolescence. Like, Cooper something.
I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about for
sure. Him and Dexter Soanso. Can you imagine them together at some kind of, oh my God, it would be amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah.
They're going to be huge growing up once they grow. But back to A Night in Seven Kingdoms, that hit for me, even though I knew it was going to happen. Of course, I knew who Egg was. And seeing all of it played out, yeah, you're right. Dunk he felt betrayed. And we saw that at the beginning of episode 4. He talked to him as if he was, he felt betrayed. He was like, oh, you're a Targaryen, you're this, you're that. And the way he was talking to him, the fact that we could tell as the audience can see that hurt him talking to him like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when he gets to walk in with Baelor, he told Baelor that it's not his fault. Like, it's my fault. Don't blame the little kid. He didn't know. Right. Like, you saw that even though he took his anger out on him, he still backed him up when it came to being in front of Baelor. And I love that factor when it comes to Duncan's character, because he's that loyal. And I just thought that was amazing, beginning to what we got in episode 4 for sure.
Yeah, it seems to me like, so I haven't read these books, so I don't have any clue of what's coming up. I don't even have to. I don't know any of that stuff. But I will say that I think Dunk might be the character of any character that's ever been written for Game of Thrones that you're rooting for the most. Like it seemed like the only character. I mean, I know that what was Gwendolyn Christie's character's name? Who I know is related because I saw somebody talking about how they're related.
Brianna Tarth.
Yeah, Brianna Tarth. She's another character who's like at least a little bit on the wholesome side and
Absolutely.
like reacting to how like messed up the world is around them. But that's not a common trait of George R.R. Martin's characters. Usually they're all scumbags, and you sort of root for some of them because they're less scumbags than others, or they have like the what's the guy's name? Eddard Stark. He's pretty cool, but there's still some stuff in his past that's not great, So there's like things like that. But Dunk is hard not to root for, man. He's simple, but he has like a very strong desire to do the right thing. And he even you can kind of tell that his the knight that he was squiring for was kind of a jackass, but he still like took the lessons that the guy taught him and like made them more wholesome. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's one of the changes in the books, Jay, is we didn't see it started it's a picture perfect adaptation, by the way. But the one thing that they're changing is in the books, it was more of flashbacks of what he taught him. And in this, not flashbacks, it's stories of what Sir Arlen taught him. Now, this is more of like, I am understanding what Sir Arlen taught me. And it's sad that Sir Arlen isn't being recognized by most of the knights at this tournament, that no one knows who he is. And it pisses him off. He's remembering him more as a father figure than he did as a person who taught him lessons. And that was a great change to the show that we didn't get to see in the books, because it made him more human. It made him more like lovable, because we got to see that connection he had with Sir Arlen.
That's cool. Yeah,
we didn't get to see that in the books.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Another change, which I want to get your opinion on this. Who's one of the characters besides Duncan Egg? Who's one of the characters that you've enjoyed so far?
Oh man, so there's a lot of them I've enjoyed so far. I really like, because and especially after the end of, like, spoiler alert for episode 4, but the fact that the uncle would join his team, like you don't see a lot of Targaryens being cool. Like, it's not necessarily a family trait. So the fact that he was cool about that, and the fact that I'm sure he's got some other plan about like, hey, if I can kill one of these kids, maybe I can get, it's better for me and stuff like that. But at the same time, he seems like a legit dude. Like, he's like, look, we are the royal family, so you can't just fuck around with us. Like, you have to. But at the same time, like, he's doing the right things, and he's actually respecting Dunk for Dunk's takes, because he could be like, in the past, we've seen like Brienne of Tarth talking to Jaime Lannister, right? And Jaime Lannister's like, your whole opinion is stupid because that's not how the world works. But his name's Baelor, right?
Baelor, correct.
Yeah, Baelor was not like that. He wasn't like, oh, what an idiot in front of me. He's like, oh, this guy's like, he's living by the creed that he's speaking, so that's cool. So I like Baelor a lot. I love the Baratheon guy, dude. That guy's so funny.
Lionel Baratheon. Now this is where my point was gonna go.
Yeah.
That huge change from the book to the show, by the way. Lionel Baratheon didn't have much, like, he wasn't anything until the very end of the very end of the book.
Okay.
There was a tournament in the middle of the book that he was supposed to fight in, but we don't see that in the show. But it makes more sense why they introduced in episodes 1 and 2. They introduced him, and when they did the little dance, and they did the tug of war thing. It showed that they have a connection, him and Dunk.
Yeah.
In the books, there was not really a connection, so it didn't really make sense why he joined Dunk at the end for the Trial of Seven.
That's way better.
That change showed us that, okay, they have some kind of connection. Now he wants to join Dunk for the Trial of Seven. Now let's fight. So that part right there was just amazing to watch because it makes sense.
That's
Obviously,
so
in the
good.
books, it was portrayed like, I think they talked maybe once, but it didn't make sense why he joined Dunk at the end of the books, or at the end of
Got it. It's
the
just kind of a
show.
surprise. Yeah.
Exactly. So
You know, I have to do a shout out to that actor. I'm looking him up right now because there was one movie that he's in that I want to make sure that I get, because I first saw him. I'd never heard of this dude before, right?
Mhm.
And then I saw him in The Gentleman, which was one of my favorite shows of 2024, and I can't wait till they come out with the season 2 because I thought that show was so
I think
good.
they're filming that right now, I think, right?
I think they're supposed to be, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping it'll come out soon. But then he was in something else that I'm trying to find on here. He was in the Marvels. That's not what I'm thinking of. I'm
Was
not
it
gonna
The
be able to find
Crown
it
or
that fast. No, it wasn't The Crown. It was some movie that I watched recently. I can't find it on here. He's been in a ton of stuff. So I
The
just,
Englishman or
I don't know
The
what it
English Game?
was. Oh no, it was The Woman in Cabin 10. Yeah, that's what it was. Because
Oh, okay.
that was a Netflix movie, and I didn't know he was even in it. So I had seen him in The Gentleman, and then I saw him in that movie, which that movie's like okay, it's not like amazing, but it's good. And he was in that, and like every role he's in, the guy is killing it, dude. He's like, I'm like, this guy is legit. So shout out to that guy because he's doing some amazing stuff out
It's
there.
Daniel Ing or
I don't know how to,
INGS?
yeah, INGS, Ings,
Ings? Daniel
one of the two.
Ings?
Yeah,
Yeah,
phenomenal stuff.
he's been a phenomenal character this season, and
Yes.
one that I wasn't anticipating us to get because of what we saw in the books.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, shout out to Ira Parker, who's the showrunner and director of the show. He made a good choice of doing that.
Yeah.
One thing that I will say, the only thing that I've disliked so far, Jay, was unless they somehow make it relevant, there's a scene that they added to me that didn't make sense. Was the game director, the person who like he spits, he's the dude who spits all the time. He's like the game coordinator.
Yeah.
He brought Dunk to the like river.
To ask him if he should lose or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or
So
not that he'd lose, but he'd win, like because the other guy was going to throw it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and right now that doesn't make no sense because we saw the trial of 7. We saw who what the fight's going to be. It's not going to be the normal tournament anymore.
Right.
So now at this point, it doesn't make any sense because he doesn't have to choose a fighter now. He doesn't have to. But the only thing I could think of, if they somehow do, something in the next 2 episodes for it to make sense, is it just showed us another way of Duncan being loyal. But at the same time, he never agreed or disagreed.
Right.
So we don't know if he's loyal or if he's honorable, rather.
I'm assuming now. I have not read the book, so I don't have any clue about what's going to happen next. But I'm assuming after this fight is over, he could still technically participate in the tournament.
Possibly, but I don't know if because the next episode is going to be the flashbacks of Dunk as a kid. And then episode 7 is going to be the battle or
and that's it, right, for the season.
That's the last 2 episodes. From what I've seen, I could be wrong. There could be some kind of tournament at the end that they could do, but with 30-minute episodes, I don't see them.
And we're not getting a season 2. They're not going to do a season 2.
No, they're currently actually filming season 2.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've never read the second book, so I don't know if they're going season by season like that. Yeah. But as far as like how the book 1 ended, I'll let you watch the show, but I don't know if they're going to do the tournament is all I'm saying.
Okay.
We'll see though.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah, so that part literally has been the only part that I've disliked in the show, bro. Or not disliked, I just was confused about. But
it is a strange thing to add if you're not going to bring it up again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there, it feels to me like there needs to be either at the end of this season or in next season, and it doesn't have to be related to the tournament. It could be that guy approaching him again and being like, "Oh, by the way, I want to hold you to or I want to propose another deal to you," or something where it's okay, this guy's proposing a lot of deals, but it is weird out of context. Was it in the book?
No, it was not in the book.
Yeah.
Not in the book whatsoever. And that's what confused me. And like I said, it doesn't take away from how good the show is, but
right.
That's if I were to pick anything, that's the only thing that I can okay, this doesn't make sense. But I got to admit, Jay,
for short episodes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And I got to admit, picture perfect or like copy and paste from the book to the show so far, cool. With the good additions to what's going on.
Yeah.
But so we get that, and then we get So you had texted me about Dunk's brother.
Yes.
His name is Daron Targaryen. Now,
Egg's
for
brother,
those
right?
Egg's brother, correct?
Yeah.
Egg's brother. His name is Daron. He is the second or the third brother, the third youngest, and then it's Egg. So Daron, for those who don't know, it's called a dragon dreamer. He's kind of like Helena Targaryen is in House of the Dragon, how Daenerys was in Game of Thrones. He has dreams about the future. And I believe the past. I think it's both, but I do know the future for sure. And we see him tell Dunk about the dream that he had mentioned before, and then he kind of elaborated on it further this time, the second time Dunk meets him. But it's very interesting to what he says about it, because obviously it can be interpreted however you want to interpret that, because obviously there's no more dragons at this point of Game of Thrones. And he said, I see you on a field burning. I forgot what he said, but it was like with the wings bigger than this field or something like that. But what's your thoughts on his character and what that could mean going forward?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting to have that character introduction. Felt pretty abrupt, I will say. Like, it's not like we'd seen the character before, not like we got any kind of indication. So that was kind of interesting.
The only time we did see him was in the inn at the very first episode when he was drunk. That was the same guy.
Oh, got it. Okay. So I even forgot that. I forgot that it was even connected. I liked him as a character because I know that the Targaryens often have like 2 or 3 games that they're playing with different people. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like they're very rarely upfront. I mean, even Egg is playing games with people, you know?
True.
But because they're always trying to play chess. And I think it would be almost impossible to be in the business of running the kingdom and not be playing chess. Like if you're in the business of running the kingdom and you're playing checkers and somebody else is playing chess, like, guess what? You're getting assassinated or taken out or whatever. Like, it just feels like that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's even true in real life. Like, when you see like what our leaders in the world are doing, you're like, oh my gosh, dude, this is nuts. But it's because they feel like they need to play chess, or else somebody's going to play chess, like 3D chess or something, and they're out of commission. So as it relates to that character specifically, obviously that character, both Egg and that character, like, freaking hate their cousins, right? Like it's obvious, like they do not like their cousins. So I think that a part. Oh no,
his brother. Those are his brothers.
Okay, so that's his older brother.
Yeah,
okay,
Aaron,
that's right.
Aaron is the older. The only cousin there is Baelor's son, which is the.
Oh, right. And he has the darker hair, and yeah. You're right. Yeah. Which is a whole thing, because we know that the people with the darker hair that are like the mixed blood, there's not Targaryen blood. That's that. I'm glad you said that. So they hate their brother, who's an asshole. So you can kind of see that like they're playing chess, because some of it is like, well, we don't want this guy to rule the kingdom, right? Like, we don't want this guy to be king. So like, I'm gonna go tell this other guy this. He doesn't have to tell him the dream.
No.
Right? But why does he tell him the dream? Partially because he's probably like, I don't want my brother to be king, and if this guy could kill him, and this guy has the hope that like, oh, you're not going to die, you're going to go on to live, and like, you're going to kill a dragon, which, by the way, might actually be a metaphor for killing his brother. Exactly. Right? Like, exactly. So like, there's this whole aspect of it that's like, again, he's not just saying it because he's like, I like Dunk. He's saying it because of multiple reasons why it's beneficial to him to say it.
Yeah.
So I think that, but I mean, that's why I think Game of Thrones works so well, is because George R.R. Martin does this thing in his writing that I think is kind of brilliant. And it's that he takes things that we all find in the real world, and and even in history and all this kind of stuff, and he applies it to a fake world that makes it feel so real. Because like I was just listening to a podcast where this neuroscientist studies mediums and ESP, and she's talking about like she was talking about like, look, I've studied these kids who are called autistic savants, where they can like do like this one she was describing this one kid, this one group of kids who could like list out like multiple digit prime numbers to each other and know which prime number was coming next, out to like 6 digits or 7 digits. And like the average human can't do that, right? Because it's kind of like, okay, I got like what? I got 3, I got 7, I got. Pretty soon you run out of prime numbers. You're like, I don't know. But the point is that there are still things in this world that we don't understand. Whether it's spirituality, which actually they're getting into more in this series. I mean, they're hinting at it more in this series than they did in Game of Thrones, the main series too, but they're not really talking about it in House of the Dragon that much at all. So there's these, or there's mediums and like this kind of stuff. There's stuff that we don't understand. And like, normally you wouldn't find that in a very grounded fantasy book, right?
Correct.
You wouldn't find it. You'd be like, oh, okay, this is like kind of saying, this is because a lot of what Game of Thrones is too is like actual history, but weaved in different places and different spots. It's like, well, the Tudors did this, and the people did this, and kind of just like morphing that into a story. But you don't usually find like, oh yeah, there's also mediums and dragons and like. So George R.R. Martin has this like really awesome innate ability that a lot of fantasy, and you and I like fantasy, so we watch a lot of shows. A lot of it they don't get very correct, or they get it in the point where, like for example, with Game of Thrones, I'll give you another good example. Melisandre and what she was up to, you'd be like, dude, this. If you were doing a normal everyday show, you'd be like, this is stupid. Like this doesn't happen in real life. Like what is this lady doing? And yet there's also stuff going on where people in the show don't believe that she can do stuff. So it's like this, it just feels very, very grounded and real, and nothing goes crazy. It's not like, you'll see some of these fantasy novels where it's like, now this wizard powered up and he can destroy like tens of thousands of people at once, And you're just kind of like, dude, that's not as interesting. It's like this is very grounded. When people do magic or when they see visions, it has actual real world implications,
Yep.
And they're usually tortured by it. Like you mentioned from House of the Dragon, the lady that's a dragon dreamer in there. I can't remember her name. Helena, yeah. Like she has a lot going on that is really difficult for her to handle. This dude also has a lot going on where he's like, I'm gonna be drunk half the time because I got stuff going on too. So it still feels very realistic, but yet it's like enticing. So George R.R. Martin just handles that really well. And props to everybody who's making the shows, because they're bringing it in a way that also makes sense and doesn't go too over the top and be stupid. So just a fantastic way of handling that stuff, because that stuff is stuff that we gravitate towards. Is like, what does this mean? Like, what people having dreams and they're telling me their dreams, like, what does that mean? It's just kind of cool. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, and you get into those those conversations where you speculate or are trying to connect the dots of what the magic means in a fantasy show, or what people who have magic do. You know what I'm saying? So those conversations are always that's one of the fun parts about fantasy TV shows, is like in a regular cops, like a show like The Rookie, or like there's not much you have to speculate because it's pretty much straightforward. When it comes to fantasy TV shows, we're trying to get into the writer's mind of what kind of fantasy he wants or she wants to create, and seeing if we can come up with the same solution, the same storyline. And that's the fun part, because if you're right, you're on the same track as a well-known director or show writer, and that's always fun to do. It's always fun to have those conversations. Of course, we do it with Marvel when we talk about the Avengers and all that stuff. But in this world, when it comes to Game of Thrones, obviously there's a lot of book material that goes into it. So people who don't know and haven't read those books, we kind of can speculate what comes next. And House of the Dragon, I've never read those books, so I got a good amount of following for guessing what comes next, or possibly having those thoughts of like, is Damon going to do this? Is Rhaenyra actually, and people followed me for it, people love those guesses. So I love fantasy in that way for sure. Fantasy's one of my favorite genres, if you will.
That's cool.
moving on to so the Targaryens. Now, we know that Aeg is the youngest of Maekor, the white-haired guy.
Right.
So let's break it down this real quick. So Baelor is the oldest son of the king. He is also the heir to the throne, and he's the hand of the king.
Right.
The youngest son after that is Maekor, which is the white-haired fella, white beard guy. His kids are Dunk, Aryan, and Maester Aemon from Game of Thrones. There's another son too. I think there's one more son.
Now, when you say Dunk, do you mean Egg?
Yes, Egg. Correct. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Egg.
So I was like,
Egg,
Dunk is his son.
Yeah,
What?
no.
They're brothers.
That would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Egg, Maester Aemon from Game of Thrones. That is
Right.
Maekor's son.
Right.
And Egg's
who's the
brother.
Dragon Dreamer? Right. Same guy.
No.
Oh,
Remember-
different guy.
Remember Maester Aemon from Game of Thrones? That's Darren. Darren is the Dragon Dreamer. That's what you're thinking about.
Okay.
So
yeah,
Darren,
you're right.
Or Darren, Aryan, which is the ones we see in this show, and then Egg, and then Maester Aemon, who is currently at the Citadel, that they announced in episode 3, I believe it was. They announced that he is currently at the Citadel, learning to become a Maester. So that's kind of a breakdown of the Targaryens for those who don't know.
And it was, which one's the oldest one? The asshole is the oldest, right?
I believe Aryan is the oldest.
And then Aryan
no,
is the
I
oldest?
think he's the second son. I think
Aemon is the oldest then.
No, I think the Dragon Dreamer Darren is the oldest.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I can look it up while you ask this question.
Okay. Because the reason why I'm asking that is because somebody was saying that Egg is the fourth in line to the throne, and obviously that's because Aemon selected out and because he wanted to become a Maester. But like he would have been the fifth in line because you have Baelor first, then comes his younger brother Maekor. I don't even know the names that well.
So it's Daron, Aryan, Aemon, and then Aegon is the youngest. So that order that I originally said.
Okay. And so Aemon, like, because obviously what has to happen, because we all know what happens to Egg. Well, if you're paying attention at all, you know. I mean, the lady said it, right? The one lady came up to him and said, like, "Hey, you're going to be the king."
Yep.
So what you know has to happen is that like the Dragon Dreamer guy has to opt out somehow or die. The Maester Aemon, we already know, opted out. So then the third guy has to be dead. So all of those people have to die. I mean, both brothers have to die too, right? Like both brothers have to die.
Well, so kind of break this down even further. He was named Aegon Targaryen, or Aegon the Unlikely, because he was the fourth son. His dad was the fourth son of. How can I put this? He was the fourth son, his dad, and then he was the fourth son of his father.
Right.
So all those Targaryens had to die for Aeg to become king, and he becomes king.
Right, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a really I am glad that Game of Thrones or this show too, it gives you as much information as you need, and if you want to dive into it more, you can, but you don't need to know it, right? Like, so you don't need to know like we were told he's going to become king. We were told that Dunk was going to slay a dragon, but we're not like. It doesn't give you the details in such a distinct way that it's like, here's the family tree and this has to happen in order for Egg to become king, and that's why this is crazy. Like, it lets it play out, which is good, because for someone like me who hasn't read the books and doesn't want to do like a family tree analysis, it's like, oh, okay, I kind of see what needs to happen, but I don't need to be force fed to it. And I'm really appreciative that they're giving us the visual signals, because like, the guy's the hand of the king because he has the little finger thing on him, right? Like the little hand thing that's pointing. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. That's the hand of the king. So they're doing a really good job of handling a complex hierarchy of royalty in a way that is easily digestible, and you don't need to know it to enjoy the show. It's just like, I can enjoy the show and not need to know all this. But if you want to, go research it. Like you can figure it out,
Exactly. And I think that's what I've been getting tons of comments. Obviously, the comment sections, but my comment section has been, I get it. people 30 minutes is not that long. We're not used to it. But you guys have to realize we're getting a book that was less than 100 pages, if not 100 pages at that. So there's no way you can extend that unless you add shit that isn't in there. And most of the time it's not going to make sense. So they're doing everything by the book. Literally, they're doing everything by the book, and the things that they're adding are things that need to be added for the story to make a little bit more sense, which, not saying the story didn't make sense at all, but there's things that they added, like the Lionel Baratheon and why he's so important now, and those things were necessary. But adding more to, like, adding an extra half an hour to each episode, it's not the way to do it, because of the novellas that George R. R. Martin wrote were short for a reason. So I'm actually on the side of, like, leave it how it is, because I grilled Percy Jackson for having these short ass stories.
Yeah.
Like the episodes are 30, 40 minutes max, but that's the difference though. Those books were long. Those books were longer. You can extend those stories into an hour, but they decided, but it's the opposite here. These stories are short, so we're getting good amount of episodes, or time wise, we're getting the good amount of time for what we're getting in the books, and it makes a lot of sense. That's how I would have done it as well.
Yeah, and from a writing perspective, as somebody who has written books and screenplays and TV pilots, I will say that, first of all, novellas, in my opinion, are far easier to adapt than full-length books, because, like, what inevitably happens, especially with fantasy is the genre with one of the longest accepted manuscript lengths of all genres. Most genres would tell you, like, hey, look, if you're over 90,000 words, like, you're doing too much, bro. I know that Stephen King writes heavy, thick novels, but, like, there are like fantasy stories like Wheel of Time. I mean, I don't know how many words are in Wheel of Time as a series, but it's like, I mean, like stacks, right?
Yeah.
And
there's 12 books.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. So, and the more that stuff exists, the more difficult the adaptation is.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because in a novel, the thing that's unique about novels or prose writing in general is that it will oftentimes reveal what is in the characters' heads, or it will reveal other things that are not visual.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is, like, if you're thinking right now, I have no idea what you're thinking unless you start drawing it on a piece of paper and showing it to me, right?
Correct.
But a book, you can write out, this is what Tones is thinking. He's like,
Yep.
Jay's rambling on for too long, and it's really getting boring, and I'm tired of listening to him. And you could like have like 5 pages on that, even though that's only a few seconds worth of like actual real world time. Correct. And the reason why that's interesting to us as humans is because we don't know how other people think. And it's one of the only ways for us to get into characters' heads is to read books and go, oh, this character in the novel is acting this way, but I know why he's acting this way because I can see how he or she is thinking about what this is. In TV or in
scripts,
or in movies, you can't do that. I mean, very effectively.
Yeah, it's harder to portray in a on screen than it is in the books.
Correct. They did a good job of it with The Killer on Netflix. You can hear his kind of monologue. They did a pretty good job of it in Train Dreams, which has a narrator who is not the lead character. It's someone else narrating for the lead character.
Yeah.
And both of those are one of them's a graphic novel adaptation, The Killer, and the other one's a novella adaptation. Train Dreams. So you can do it, but the medium is not. If I'm just sitting here talking to you and I'm like watching stuff, the stuff on screen better be interesting, or else it's like stupid. I'm like just listening to someone talk to me, right?
Yeah.
So the mediums are very different. Like you have to adapt for the medium. So novellas work really well because novellas generally have to get to the point of what's happening,
quick,
not like a lot of thought process that goes on for like pages and pages
10
and pages.
Yeah.
So novellas are really a better thing to adapt. But the thing I would caution against is we know what happened when the showrunners got ahead of the books with Game of Thrones. It was a disaster. So why ask the showrunners to add stuff? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey, look, if it's, I mean, really what they said was that this is a 7-episode series. Each episode's 30 minutes. Like you do the math on that. That's how many hours. It's like 3.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
They basically said like we can either do a really long ass movie or we can do a limited series. Which one do we want to do?
Yeah.
And the way that you figure that out is you chop it up into sections and you go, where are good ending points of each episode? And if you're like, oh, the ending points are good, that we can make this like 3 episodes that are like almost kind of like not movie length, but a little bit less than a movie length.
Yeah.
Or you go, dude, we can get in and out with these 40-minute kind of 30-minute things, and they clearly chose the latter. So I think that like sometimes, like I'll give you one more example and I'll shut up. I was literally, so Disclosure, my movie that's on YouTube right now, I was gonna make a feature film script out of it. And I started that script and I got into it and I realized that there was no way for me to make it into a feature film. It just was not working. The points of a feature film that you're supposed to hit, about when things happen and when it's interesting for things to happen, they just wouldn't work. It was like, I can't force this to work. So that's going to now turn into a limited series where I have like 5 or 6 episodes that I can mess with, right?
Okay.
So part of it is you have to let the creators mess with the material and then go, oh, this is how it works. It doesn't work in these other ways. And I think that for right now, I mean, compare it to a Disney Plus show. I don't like to complain about shows. In fact, I was telling Tones, I'm like, I don't really want to be on shows where I'm talking about other creators' works that I don't like but as an example, because I think it's an important example, a lot of the Disney Plus shows are done by non-traditional like movie people who are trying to adapt it to a TV thing, right?
Okay.
And one of the things you'll notice is you read that, and I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, I'm just an enthusiast, but one of the things you'll notice is that the Disney Plus, when they do like a limited series of 5 or 6 episodes, they have very strange formatting for what an episode looks like. They're variable lengths. Those lengths don't seem to make any sense. There are sometimes when I'm like, from an editing standpoint, I would have taken the last 10 minutes of that show and put it in the last and moved it to the next 10 minutes of the first one or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that you have to let the creators, I think this is a lot of time what happens is the studios mess with that and they go, this is non-traditional, so I'm going to chop it up differently. Let the creators say this is what the story needs to be. And the Night of the Seven Kingdoms team is doing a phenomenal job. So I think we should be grateful instead of being like, why aren't they longer? We should be like, hey, this is great. I'm glad they did it this way.
Yeah. No, and you're correct. There's a process, of course, that we don't see as fans. You know, I'm sure they've had those conversations. Are we making this into a movie, TV show? What the hell do we do with this project? And you know, they came to a conclusion, which they've done a very good job of leaving us on our toes every episode, every week of okay, what's happening next? What's happening next? So I love that. And I would love for Jay, I would love to see, I don't know if you've done videos on this, so you could tell me, but I would love to see a video of kind of breaking that down and how you said, what was the, oh my God, I'm losing my track.
Related to like how they come up with length of time and like how movies are structured.
No, it was I gotta come back to it. I just lost my train of thought.
No worries,
man. But all right, so we'll go to the ending of this episode. Baelor Targaryen comes out and, or first of all, Raymond Fossaway, who is a squire, also becomes a knight in this episode. I love his character development so far.
That's cool.
But Dunk is hesitant to make him a knight. Now, as a person who doesn't know, or even we both don't know, because it's open for interpretation. In your opinion, is Dunk a knight? Like we find out what needs to happen to become a knight. A knight can knight too many knights, I'm saying, but a knight needs to knight someone for them to become a knight. Right. We don't know if Sir Arlen Penetry knighted Dunk. He's just telling people that it happened.
Yeah.
So he was hesitant from knighting Raymond Fossaway.
Right.
Now, for your interpretation of it, do you think he didn't do it because he didn't want Raymond to get involved with everything? Or do you think he was hesitant because he's not a knight and he can't knight him, officially knight?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, okay, so I'll answer that question in 2 different ways. Okay. I interpreted it as this guy is not ready to be a knight. This guy is going to probably die on the battlefield. I'm going to have to deal with that. I don't know if I want that on my conscience, so I don't know if I want to knight this guy. That's how I took it when I was watching. But that's me buying into the fact that Dunk is a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Now, what do we know about George R. R. Martin's characters? They generally have some sort of huge character flaw. So it would not surprise me if Dunk has been pretending to be a knight this whole time, and the reality is he's just not. He's just like he just wanted to be, so he manifested that in his head, and he's like acting like one.
Yeah.
And it could just be that his knight the Penny. I've been watching Welcome to Derry, so I want to say Pennywise, but Pennytree.
Yeah.
Pennytree is
Sir Arlen of Pennytree.
yeah, Sir Arlen of Pennytree. It could just be that he never knighted him, and maybe he meant to, and he said he was going to. So Dunk has like a little bit of guilty conscience of like technically I'm not one, even though I said it. He said I was going to be one. I think that would be interesting, and it would reveal a lot about Duncan's character that I think would make his character add some more depth to him. But I didn't think that when I was watching it. I just thought like, oh, he doesn't want this guy to die because this guy's clearly going to die.
Yeah, that was fun to watch because it showed us that is a thing that we don't know if Dunk is, because we haven't seen one of his flaws yet, other than he shits in the woods. That's literally the only thing that we've that we've seen Dunk's flaw in, and or at least character flaw. But there's a possibility that Dunk's not a true knight, that he was never knighted by Arlen, and it would have pained him to knight someone under false pretenses because he's and that's the mindset Dunk's in. And to me, I don't think he's an official knight. I don't think he was knighted, and I took it that way.
Yeah.
But it's definitely fun to have those conversations because it is open for interpretation. And kind of like how we had that the conversation about the ending of Stranger Things, like that. Did 11 die? Is she alive? Right. That is, those kind of conversations are always fun to have, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's good. Let me put it this way: it's good either way, right? Because it's in alignment with his character. If he just doesn't want the guy to die, it's also in alignment with. It's not out of alignment with his character if he was actually never knighted, but like he knew the intent was always that, so he has a little bit of guilt over it, but technically he should have been, and it's just a technicality, right? It's almost kind of like as a real world example, you'll find some people, you'll find some Christian people who believe that if you're not water baptized, you're not technically saved, and they're like really anxious about it. If you're like,
okay,
oh yeah, like you have to be water baptized or you're not saved. And you could see somebody being like, well, I'm thinking about that, and technically nobody touched my shoulders with a sword, and therefore I'm not actually a knight. And so he might have a guilty conscience about it, even though everyone else would be like, oh, clearly that was always the intent. Like, you're not gonna get not accepted because of a technicality. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that people do worry about that kind of stuff too. Like, oh, is it official? Is it not official? Is it? So there's a real world example. There's real world examples of that occurring. So either way, it's a good plot device.
Yep, I agree. So the Fossaway, the not Raymond's cousin, who was originally going to join Dunk, ends up joining Arian. When you saw that, and then when you got to see who the person was that came out, and it was Baelor Targaryen, what was your thought? Like, were you excited that Baelor I mean, we all know he was a good man just by the first interaction he had with Dunk and talking about Sir Arlen, and you could just tell he's he's a good Targaryen. He has good morals. He's honorable. But what was your opinion when you saw him switch, and then you're like, okay, who's gonna fight for him? And it ended up being Baelor.
Well, so when they're having the conversation in the tent where he says, "I'll join you," I was like, "Oh hell yeah! Like this guy's awesome! Like this guy's gonna be dope." There is an old school rule that I don't see many people applying today in filmmaking, even though they did it here, is that you should have a character try to deny something like 3 times or be denied something 3 times before they get it. Because what it does for the audience is that it goes like, it gives like it does this this thing where you're also building dopamine, which is one of the
Yeah.
core elements of like telling stories is building dopamine and then getting a dopamine release. So what you do is you go like, here's a little dopamine. It's gonna happen. No, it doesn't happen. Here's a little bit more dopamine. Oh no, it doesn't happen. And then by the time you get to the third one, your dopamine is so stored up that you're like, yeah, get them. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's a really effective technique. A lot of times you'll see it in like for example, Luke Skywalker gets the droids, and the droids are like, we need to go rescue Princess Leia, and he's like, I'm not doing that. And it's like, here's a message from Princess Leia. Oh, who is this lady? I don't think I should do that. And then he's like, okay. It's not until they kill his aunt and uncle that he's like, okay, I'm in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
the denial. It's the denying it 3 times, right? Like you don't get what you want, and on the 3rd time or the 4th time you do get what you want, and then it's like, oh, cool, like we got what we wanted.
And we got that in this show. It was the Fossaway guy, and then the dude who ended up standing up, and then he farted, and then and then we finally get Baylor coming up.
Then we finally get Baylor. So that's why I was bringing it up, because I love that entire sequence. It was like, okay, cool, this guy's awesome. Oh, wait a minute, this guy sucks. And then, oh, this guy's going to be even better than that guy. Oh, wait a minute, that guy farted. That guy's an asshole. And then it's finally like, oh, we got Baylor. That's even almost the best thing that we could have gotten, right? And it also, what it also does from a storytelling standpoint, is it introduces even more conflict. Because if the first guy, the Fossaway guy, Raymond, if he's in there, or if the Brute is in there, there's no additional conflict. But when you have somebody betray you, and now you have the guy's cousin versus the guy's cousin, one guy's not experienced, one guy's really good, that's conflict that you're like, oh, I have emotional conflict, there's physical conflict that's going to happen. That's crazy. Secondly, did you have the Brute, and you're like, okay, the Brute, I don't even know who he is. Like, obviously he's a huge guy, with somebody did a really good job of using Pantene Pro V on his hair because it's very flowing and natural. But that doesn't matter either, right? So those two things. So you have an increase in conflict from the two cousins. You would have a decrease in conflict from bringing in the Brute, because we don't know who the Brute is. But we really ratchet up the conflict when Baylor is going to go against his family, right?
Yep.
So it's like, oh, that's really well done from a conflict and stakes perspective, because the stakes are pretty high if one of those guys dies.
Yep. Oh, big time. And what's funny is, even though Baylor is known as the person who came in and wants to fight against his family, people forget that Egg wants Dunk to win, and wants his brother. Egg wants his brother to be killed, pretty much.
Yep.
And also, Darren, who is the Dragon Dreamer, is also on that same team. Like, he's the one fighting as well, even though he says he's just gonna fall on the battleground and not, no one's gonna kill him. He's just gonna fall there.
Right.
He's still fighting for Duncan, even though he was the one who made the first claim of him taking Egg.
Yeah,
like, that was the first claim. So everyone is talking about Baylor, even though, of course, that was the biggest one because of who he is as a not just the hand of the king. As people forget, he's not just the hand of the king. He's the heir to the throne. Like, if the king dies, he's the next in line.
Right.
So that the fact that he is backing someone as honorable as Dunk, and he sees the values Dunk holds, it's just amazing, and shows the character, and it also shows the fans or the viewers, not all Targaryens are the same. Not all Targaryens are this ruthless fucking Dragon Dreamer, or this ruthless dude who kills people, or this asshole with the white hair who just doesn't give a fuck about anyone else. Like, you see Baylor and his kindness and his generosity, his loyalness. Like, it's fun to watch the different kinds of Targaryens we see in this the show.
And you can't forget, though, that he also is playing chess, because if he takes out a couple of those kids, then they're not going to take him out later on.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, because if he sees somebody, it's just like in House of the Dragon, it's just like oh, I can't think of her name. What's the main Targaryen?
Rhaenyra?
Yeah, Rhaenyra. It's just like Rhaenyra seeing Daemon and being like, I got to keep Daemon at arm's length. I can't push him away too far, because then he becomes like a hostile person to me that wants to take my throne. But I also can't let him get too close, because then he might like murder me in my sleep. And then it's like, so they have to play. The more power you have as a human, the more you have to think about people screwing you over.
Yeah,
Because you and me,
100%.
we might be screwed over by somebody who steals out of our yard or who takes advantage of us in some way to earn a few $100 or whatever they do, right? But when you are, Elon Musk, or you are the top of the top richest people,
Yeah.
I mean, the implications are pretty big if you go down. Now, and by the way, a lot of us would like to see some of those people go down, right? Like, so when you see things like the Epstein files come out, you're like, we need to get these people. But like when we say that, it's not unlike what we're seeing in Game of Thrones. Like, it's the same thing. Those people have to think of all the people that want to bring them down, and so yeah, it's really well done as a show. Like, but I do think that part of Baylor's motivation, based on what we've seen from him thus far, is what you're talking about. I want for the good of the realm. I like Dunk, but I also want to show my nephew that I'm not just a pushover that you're just going to come out here on the field of battle and win with, because you are also being a little bit of a P word when you chose to do the challenge of the 7 as opposed to just facing this guy 1-to-1. So like, if you want to be that kind of person, then I'm going to go up against you, because that's not how we roll either. So there's a lot of complexity in the decision, and that to me is really good storytelling, when there's lots of layers to like why things are going on the way they're going on. Again, kudos to the showrunners and the directors and the writers for fantastic storytelling.
I'm totally with you. When I first saw, and by the way, the cinematography in that part is what made that part as good as it was. Obviously, it being Baylor, but you see the fog. You see who who is coming through that fog, that thick ass fog. Who's on the horse. And then you see the Targaryen sigil. Oh, is it Valar, the dude we seen, his son, which is Baelor's son, Valar? Is it Baelor's son, or is it this? And then you see him take his helmet off, and it's fucking Baelor. Yeah. And then you say, "I stand with Duncan," and the whole place it starts erupting, because they know who Baelor is, and even Egg. Oh, I have to say this, Jay, because I made a video on this, and I don't know if you noticed this. You out of all people would have noticed this. In episode 4, Dexter Solanso, who plays Egg, he made Egg's character. I mean, obviously it's him, but he made his character physically look depressed. I don't know if you caught this, but his facial expressions were almost like you could tell when this person right here is not in a good mood, like just by his facial expressions. You could tell Dexter Solanso was trying to portray Egg being extremely sad because of him portraying Dunk and not telling him the truth. Yes. And it made the smile of Egg at the very end when he noticed Baelor. You noticed the smile that Egg had when he said, "I stand with Duncan." Yeah. And then Dexter Solanso, or Egg, smiled, and it made it that more chilling. The fact that he was depressed throughout the whole episode, because he knew, like, this is a slim chance Dunk makes it out of this. Right. And the smile of hope. I've never seen a smile of hope more than that fucking smile, Jay. It gave me the chills. That's awesome. That was not portrayed in the books at all. Yeah. And it was amazing to watch. I don't know. It could be just me noticing little things, and it probably wasn't even what they were trying to portray. But for me, his facial expression was the same throughout the whole episode, of just sad and depressed little kid to a smile of hope. Like, I've never seen something like that in my life on screen. I don't know if you have, or if you noticed that, but it was amazing to watch, dude.
I didn't notice that one in particular, but what I did notice was early on how they handled his. So he goes to see him in the prison, right? And he walks in, and when he walks in, his shoulders are back. He's got the sash. He like walks in like, obviously I'm the most important person in this vicinity. And he's like, make sure he gets the bread and whatever. And then notice what happens as soon as Dunk starts having a real conversation with him, which good on Dunk for doing, by the way, because a lot of people would be like,
absolutely,
just like acting like they were like subservient and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I got you in this trouble," whatever. But notice the Egg walks over to the side of the room and like hunches down. He goes right back to being Egg instead of being Aegon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is just an indication of and this is really good. It's really good writing. It's really good directing. It is really good acting to be able to say, what is the character journey the egg is on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to track that the entire way through. And one of the things that this kid actor is doing, Dexter, whatever his name is,
Dexter So Ansel.
yeah, he is embodying that character journey of what Egg is going through, and he understands it so much that you can actually cut to him and cut to him smiling, and it's like it's within the character journey. So that is not only phenomenal writing, it's also phenomenal directing. The director's understanding what the character journey needs to look like and understanding when to cut to those moments, because you can cut to those moments at the wrong time, right?
Absolutely.
You can be like, oh, oops, I cut it a little bit later. He smiles too late, and now it's like not as impactful as if I cut it there. So editing too, right? Not just that. So that's what the power of like a really strong team will do for you, is that everybody gets it and they go, hey, if this is what it is, then we need to kind of cut it in a way that makes a lot of sense. And that whole scene. So I very rarely, I'm not a technical director. Okay. I didn't go to film school. I don't care. Let me say this. Let me make a distinction. I care about the story and I care about visual storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I trust that the people around me who I hire and bring onto my team know the areas where I am weak. I don't know which lens to use, but I'm going to do a really detailed job of telling you what I'm wanting to capture on screen.
What you visually want to see.
Yes, I'm going to give you references. I'm going to say, this is what I'm looking for. And then that person is going to go, oh, cool, you want a 50 millimeter, or you want a whatever, you want a 90 millimeter, whatever. So I very rarely find something so visually compelling that I'm like, I'm going to look up the technical details of like which camera they were using. I've done it twice in the last week. One was Train Dreams, because Train Dreams is like this gorgeous. The way they filmed it is just absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I've ever seen a replication of like nature in as beautiful way as Train Dreams. At least in a fiction category.
Yeah.
The second time I did it is I was watching the show last night, episode 4, and I go, damn, it really looks like they filmed this with film. But I don't know anybody who's using film on a TV show these days. That's very unusual. It's almost all digital cameras, right?
Yeah.
And I looked up what camera they were using, because I was like, how do they achieve this? It looks like film. So to your comment about cinematography, it's not that easy to make a digital camera look like it's film. Like, exactly. They don't do that very well. But I'm sitting there watching it, I'm like, I can see some film grain in it at times. The lighting effects and the way that it's being lit, the smoke effects, it all looks like this is actually film. And they shot it on a I have to look it up again exactly what one is. It was a RE Mini, I think, but it was a Alexis Mini LF. And it was like Panavision lenses or something like that. So, which Panavision is like used to be a film company. So I'm guessing that they try and make it look more like film. Okay. But it's not very often that I look it up. But that's how good this show was. I was like, dude, it looks like film. This is amazing. And sure enough, like they just
so good.
Yeah, it's so cool, man.
That's
so
amazing. Cool. I mean, there's nothing more that we could say about this episode. For me, at least, I thought episode 3 was the best episode until episode 4 came out. And I was like, no, this is it. This is my favorite episode. I just love the way, these characters are coming to life on screen. And like I said, and people who know my content, I don't read books. I haven't read. Obviously I know how to read, but I'm a new beginner, or I'm a beginner of reading. I'm currently reading a novel right now. I have the second book to The Sworn Sword, which is the next season / next book to The Hedge Knight. I'm going to be reading that closer to when I'm done with this book, but I'm beginning to see the differences when it comes to the book and TV show. And this is a new kind of content for me, because I've never had to compare the book to the TV show. And I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm really enjoying the process of seeing what the story was on book and it coming to life on screen. And I know a lot of people who've read the House of the Dragon. We'll stick to Game of Thrones universe. A lot of people who've read the House of the Dragon books are very upset with what they're seeing in the show. So I could see the frustration now as someone who is seeing something come to life and everyone's excited about the show, and it not coming to life on House of, not that I'm saying the show's bad. I'm taking it for what it is. I'm enjoying House of the Dragon for what it is, but I could see their point of view a little bit more now of why those people are pissed off for what they're saying. But like I said, I love the show so far. I think A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it's one of those shows where there's 4 episodes. Usually we don't fall in love with characters in 4 episodes, but we're invested in Dunk and Egg, and we want to see them succeed and live and just live this beautiful life. But we want to also see how it happens as well. And I don't think I've ever fell in love with characters as fast as I did with this show. How about you?
I mean, I probably have, but this is excellent storytelling. Like I said earlier in the show, like I told Tones and a bunch of my other friends, like, now that I'm creating more stuff, I know how difficult it is, and I don't really like to badmouth shows that I don't like. And then when you're a creator, there's lots of things you would do differently with shows, right? Like you see shows all the time. You're like, I would do that differently. I don't know why they chose that. And we don't know the behind the scenes. We don't know if it was like they did running out of time. We don't know if whatever was happening. They're running out of budget, whatever. But if I'm on a show nowadays, it means I really like the show, right? Like, cause I don't want to come on here and complain about it. I want to come on here and like talk about how great it is. And that's how good this show is. This show is really good. As soon as Tone said, you want to come on and talk about it, I'm like, absolutely. Cause I love it. 2 more things I want to point out that I think are really awesome. One is that, did you notice the shot of the reaction of the lady who in episode 1 was like, you're just a hedge knight, you're an idiot. She has like red hair. And then as Dunk is out there saying like, who's going to stand up with me and fight these guys? Cause like I'm being falsely accused. And then the guy stands up and farts or whatever. And then she cuts to the lady, and the lady's like, you can already tell. She's like, wait a minute, I think I might be on Team Dunk now. Right? Like that was her. That was definitely her response. Like looking around, like, is nobody gonna help this guy out? Like, what's up with that? So I think that's like a really subtle hint at foreshadowing again, which is like you say, it's like with the smile from Dexter. It's like those are the little things that make this show awesome. I can't remember what the other thing I was gonna say was.
We're both something.
I was gonna say this. I thought that the trailers did the show a disservice. Because the trailers put every single joke that has ever occurred in the season into the trailer. And I thought when I watched it, because I remember telling you, I'm like, I don't know if I'm into this, dude. Like, I don't want to see a comedy in the Game of Thrones universe. I didn't realize it was going to be like, no. We're just going to add a little bit of humor to an already like intense, good story. That's a very different thing than just making it like, because Marvel has tried to do this where it's like, what if we did a sitcom with our characters? And you're like, dude, I don't care.
Fucking Love of Thunder. Oh my god, bro. Sorry, I mean, that's one thing that pissed me off was that it was just. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the reasons I don't talk about Marvel anymore. But yeah, I like this. The fact that the trailers made it like so humorous made me actually not want to watch it as much. But now that I've been watching it, 1, I'm glad they didn't really spoil anything in the trailers. And 2, the show is just way better than the trailers even indicated. So that's awesome too. And
it's funny because I saw an interview of Ira Parker, who's the showrunner. They said, they adding the comedic factor to a Game of Thrones universe show, like, he kind of get into it, and he said, come on, what's funnier than a fart? When someone farts, you laugh. And I'm like, that's true. At least that's what a man's sense of humor, at least. But it's funny. He was like, yeah, fart, it's funny. We all laugh at it. And it's been some of the comedic things that Dunk shitting in the by the tree, and then the farts, like it's hilarious. But
so 2 things, two notes on that too. One of the things that Shakespeare used to do is that Shakespeare, who's like known as like one of the best storytellers in history, right?
Absolutely.
Whether that's good branding or like accurate, you can make your own decision. But like he's known as being a very articulate, sophisticated storyteller. Well, guess what? He had a bunch of fart jokes and a bunch of puns that were intended to make audiences laugh in them, because what he knew was, if I want to tell stories that not only the wealthy people like, but also the common people like, they are maybe not going to be as willing to sit through something that's super sophisticated and has all this drama in it. If
Yeah.
I throw a fart joke in, if I throw a funny pun in, they're going to get the humor that I'm putting in there, and it's going to make my work more applicable to more people.
Correct.
And that's what I see happening here. Like, this is a very, in fact, I was just talking to my co-writer this morning, and he said, "Yeah, my wife and I are watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and she really was not into Game of Thrones, is what he was telling me. But she's watching this one. He's like, I mean, I'm not going to say she's excited to watch it, but like this is the ability to reach more people by having different emotions come in, right? And humor is one of those emotions that is really powerful in storytelling. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and when it comes to this show, I'm gonna end it with this because people obviously we get that people don't really get because they haven't read the books, but even from someone who's only read one book, like I understand the concept of what the show is. I went in knowing that this is not going to be Game of Thrones, this is not going to be House of the Dragon, this is going to be a Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It is going to be a different story. Of course, it's going to relate to the other shows because of the names in it, but we're getting a completely different storyline, and you have to go in with the mindset of this isn't what we're used to. So take it for what it is, guys. Like, I consistently get in my comments, it's slow, there's not enough action. This show may not be for you if that's what you're looking for, but this is a different side of Westeros, a different side of the characters or the people within Westeros. We're getting knights now who aren't a Targaryen or Baratheon or Stark. We're getting people with sigils that are made up on the spot because of a tree that they lay next to. Like, that doesn't happen when we're talking about Game of Thrones characters. So it's very different. So take this show for what it is. Enjoy what we're getting to see when it comes to new actors. Like, we haven't seen these actors in things, and now they're in one of the biggest IPs ever. So I'm enjoying these characters so far. I'm enjoying the show so far. So just going with that mindset before you guys just bash the show. You know what I'm saying? At least that's
not only
opinion.
that, but go back and watch Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. Bros, there are long periods of time where there are no action sequences in those shows. So, I mean, I think that sometimes the human drama makes the action better. Like, you can show me 2 knights fighting, and I'd be like, okay, cool, 2 knights fighting. But if it's Baelor fighting his nephew, like, that's more interesting to me, right? Because you added the people drama in there. So I think you got to go with the flow. It's not, I think per minute watch, I think you'd be surprised if you compared Game of Thrones to Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Per minute watched, there's still probably an equitable amount of action. It's just that the shows aren't as long. So
absolutely. And one thing that you guys could do, since people are so used to binge watching now instead of watching it, week by week, just stop watching it until the 6th episode comes out and then binge watch it all again. Because I guarantee you're gonna look at the show completely different if you watch it from episode to episode and 100%. Back to back to back. And unfortunately, that's just the reality nowadays. Is people are so used to binge watching stuff that they can't take a week off and wonder what you know what I'm saying. I'm used to it by now. I know how to decipher the difference, or I know how to handle the difference between binge watching and waiting week by week, just because I've been used to it. But I could see why people hate waiting a week for just 30 minutes. So do it that way and see if that works for you.
Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer binging or do you prefer waiting?
Honestly, bro, I love waiting because we can have these conversations. I love having, like, for those who don't know my story, the whole reason why I love and started doing content about movies and TV shows is because of having those conversations of Marvel movies that took 3 years for it to come out. Why did Iron Man do this? Why did Thor do that? Why did Captain America? Like, we had those conversations, and it was some of the best like fan interactions I've had with people that I don't even like. I'll come online and talk about Marvel stuff, and it was fun. So week by week has always been fun for me. Of course, I love watching, binge watching a show that has probably been out for years and I didn't know about it. Like, that's cool sometimes. But if it's a new TV show, I love waiting.
I like waiting, and it's specifically because I think that the brain reacts better when you can sit with things. Because if you don't sit with a thing, like, for example, let's just say that you went through and you watched all of the Night of the Seven Kingdoms without stopping. The chances that you would have noticed and gotten chills from Dexter's smile would be way more limited. I'm not saying you wouldn't have done it, but it would have been a single moment in a 3.5 hour segment of your life, as opposed to I dedicated time to watch this thing for 40 minutes. I'm going to pay attention to it. I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to reflect on it before I watch the next one. I think that the human brain goes through a different sort of process. So I don't mind binging. And I don't think I'm not like anti-binging, but I do think that we do need a balance to that. And I love this kind of balance where it's like, no, I got to wait a week and this time we got to wait 10 days, which is a bummer, bro. It's way worse. So anyways, but thanks for having me on, dude. This has been a really awesome conversation.
No, yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk for hours about this. And if you want to come back, I want to do the next 3 episodes for, do episode 5 and then episode 6, different episodes, because this is going to be, obviously we're getting 2 more seasons after this. So I want to continue to do the at least I'm going to do more in the future just because I've been so busy with everything going on, but I do want to do these last 2 episodes separate episodes.
I'm down. I'm in. I love it so far. The only thing that will disappoint me, and this is just this one thing, the only thing that will disappoint me is, and I don't foresee this happening, but if they don't actually show us the 7v7 battle, I will be super bummed out. Like, you got to show it. Don't leave that. You remember the end of was it season 7 or season 6 of Game of Thrones, where it ended with Dany's entire fleet going across the ocean? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And it was like, now it was sort of cool because you were like, oh, we get to see what happens like next time. But in this case, we've been building up to something happening, him participating as a knight in something. And because he's not participating in the tournament, if they don't show us the 7v7, I'm going to be pretty pissed. That's the only thing I'll say.
No, they should. I mean, there's so much that needs that there's 2 episodes left. So I'm wondering how they're going to do it. I don't know if this whole, because in the trailer we saw a younger Dunk. So I don't know if it's going to be a full length episode of that. I don't believe, I gotta go back and look. I don't think that was in the book, but I'm curious on how they're gonna do it. But we should. Hopefully we do so, for sure. Yeah.
Hopefully they're gonna do a 15-minute episode.
I know, right?
Him as a kid, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a kid."
Fuck, man. Yeah. But Jay, I appreciate you, brother. We'll be back for episode 5. If you could remind the people again where they can find you, and thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure. You find me over at How Stories Work with Jay Sherer, breaking down movies, breaking down scenes, trying to become a better storyteller and a better filmmaker. So, How Stories Work with Jay Sherer.
Yes, sir. I will be leaving everything in the description below. Chat. Make sure you guys go follow our social medias. Tones_TV on all platforms. For me, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button with notifications on so you guys are notified once a video is uploaded. We do a lot of lives on TikTok. Go to my TikTok, Tones_TV. We bring people up on boxes. You guys can say your piece on each episode, that your likes, your dislikes, stuff like that. Yeah, we'll be back for episode 5 review. Until then, we'll see y'all on the next one. Love y'all.